What's up? And we're live. We're here. We're live. We're doing the thing. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Gonna prep out a song live here on the YouTube from scratch. Just kind of chilling for a minute, hanging out with you guys, wait for some people to jump in. Gotta do the whole live thing. Gotta wait for people to jump in before we get started. Hate playing that game. But now we got a song today from Nick. That one we mixed ended up turning into a full EP. So we're gonna go ahead and go through that, import the files, and prep some stuff out. It's gonna get deep. We're gonna get in the weeds. No crash. Fingers for no crash. Sounded great on my end. So I'm trying something different with the audio routing this time. I didn't realize that OBS could just grab my straight computer audio. So I'm trying that instead of like trying to send a feed from Pro Tools to it. So we'll see how that works out. I had to get the SonarWorks extension from my Apollo to do it though. That way you guys have audio that doesn't have a room correction on it. So, which that's pretty cool actually. Super convenient because I used to run Sound ID as just a plugin in Pro Tools, or like as an app in my computer, and now it's just right here, just built straight in. So that's pretty nice. There's my talkback. Got a little bit of a Apollo processing on that. That should be going to you guys. Yeah, the processing's heading to you guys. Yeah, super fun. I haven't even heard the song. I know nothing about it. I know the last song he sent, he delivered really good tracks, like really super solid tracks. So we got a bunch of different vocal mic options here. Down to master. He said he sent a rough mix too, but he said he liked there's some things about the rough mix he liked. He liked like some of the vibes in there. So we're gonna cop some. I don't know if I'm gonna listen to that yet. I might actually save that for mix day, because that's one of those hearing where he's at and then like starting on a mix. That'll inspire a lot of my choices when I mix it. So we might not mess with that today. OBS is crazy sometimes. I'm surprised you don't have a small PC set up. Dude, I see a lot of people doing that. I see a lot of people, like the more I'm in this, the deeper I get. I understand why people have a whole separate streaming computer just dedicated for streaming, hardwired to the internet, super powered like GPU to crunch all the video inputs and audio inputs. I get that. That's actually what I might end up doing with this Mac whenever I upgrade. I might make that like, well, I'm gonna do the M2 or M4 update first, and I'll see if that thing can handle it. If it can't handle it, I might wipe this Mac Mini and just turn that into a dedicated streaming machine. It's a 6-core i7 with 36 gig of RAM in it, so it should just be able to crush 2 capture cards if that's the only thing it's doing, you know. But hopefully the M series is fine, because a lot of the audio guys that are streaming on the M, like I think Chris Basebird's on an M2 Max, and he streams on his, runs hardware, does the whole thing with no problems at all. Yeah, we've got the tracks here. Probably not going to listen to this until I actually go to mix it. Let's say a couple guitar options, Bogner, 3 different bass tracks, love that. Choir, interesting. Curious to hear that. Got some drums. This looks like it might be a guitar overdub, potentially. VT, I wonder what that is. Probably another amp. Yeah, we'll go ahead and make us a... What up? Nova Sons, what's happening, man? Just getting ready to import some tracks. Firing up a Pro Tools session. Doing the thing. Just got downloaded the files this morning. So I haven't even checked them out yet. We're going to launch Pro Tools. This will be fun. This is where we're going to see if the stream can handle all the stuff that's happening. Fingers crossed. Colt's in the stream and it hasn't shut down yet, so we're already off to a good start. Yeah, gonna go through, got some raw recorded stuff. I think he records at 96K too. which is awesome. So whenever I truncate that down, I keep on trying to get back to 44.1, man. I keep on trying, but if it's at 96, if he would have recorded at 192, I could take it down to 44.1, but he recorded at 96, and if I'm going to half that, that's going to be 48K. If I go down to 44.1, there's going to be some aliasing, some bits are going to be getting dropped in a weird way, so we don't want that. But we can go down safely to 48K without any kind of weirdness. It just cuts the bit rate in half. So every other bit gets dropped. We'll be safe there. Plus, I do like the crunchiness of the lower bit rates. I have tried mixing in higher bit rates, and it feels weird. I don't know, it feels foreign. Come on, Pro Tools, fire on up. Fire on up. I'm going to switch this over real quick. Boom. Full screen mode. There we go. Let's see. What should we call it? I don't even know the name of the song. Did he name it in here? Or was it just the... No, it just bounced to master. This will be Nick's song 2. Nick's song 2. And 48K. Nothing weird. I'm just going to pop it down to the desktop and work natively here. We have Pro Tools. We'll go ahead and import some tracks. Shift Command I brings up the import audio prompt. Shift Command D sends you straight to the desktop. So song 2 files. We want all of the files. Yeah, they're recorded at 96K. That's awesome. And then I'm going to go ahead and import that master. We're going to convert it. Apply sample rate conversion. Source sample rate is 96K. We want it to go to 48K. And the quality, you always want it on Tweakhead. Highest quality possible. Import. And then send them to the audio files folder. Yeah, you always go copy. That way it creates new files in the folder that you need. Instead of just like adding the folder, because if you clear your desktop out, or you clear your trash can out, or you clear your downloads out, you're going to delete the source audio files. So always click copy. That way it makes a dedicated copy in the actual audio files folder within the Pro Tools hierarchy. I always record in 44.1. I heard higher bit rates don't make too big of a difference. I've never really tested it. To hear if I can notice a difference. What are the differences you hear? It's essentially for plugin cramping. So plugins have oversampling and all that stuff. They have aliasing filters that get applied whenever they downsample back to your native sample rate. So if you're like at 44.1 and you're oversampling a plugin at 2x oversampling, all the processing that happens inside the plugin is going to be at 88.2. But then it's got to apply a filter to the output of the plugin in order to bring it back down to, in order to truncate essentially the artifacts back down to 44.1. So whenever you're working at higher sample rates, you don't have to use oversampling in plugins. So you avoid all that truncation filtering within plugins. So it basically just makes your plugins work at like a way higher audio quality, I guess. That you don't have to worry about like truncation filters not playing nice with each other within like from plugin to plugin. All right, here we go. We'll create audio import options. We select new track instead of clip list because we want to create new tracks out of all this. Location started at the session head. Ba-boom. So that's the reference right there. I'm gonna bring that to the top. No color on that track, and we'll make that yellow. But I'm gonna make that inactive right now because we don't need that. All right, let's organize out some tracks. So we're in Pro Tools. I'm not even to the point where I need memory locations yet. We don't know the tempo of the song. We don't know none of that yet. So bass, bass, bass. Make you purple because it's funky like Bootsy Collins. That's Bogner. That's going to be red, because guitars are the spiciest thing in the mix. They're cooked. Choir, that's a background vocal. I'm going to make that this like off shade green teal color. I always do like background vocals like that. Drum, this is all drum stuff. Brown. Because they're earthy and tribal. Makes me think like Native American tribal people smashing drums. Punch, I feel like this is going to be a guitar add-on. So we're going to make that a guitar extra or an overdub part. I make those orange. Rack, tom, ride, ruin, snare bottom. That's all drummage. Make you brown. And we have, it's like some main vocals. I don't know what this VT track is yet. We'll check that out. Vocals are green because those are the money. Let's see. This is a mystery track. I'm gonna go ahead and listen to this real quick, see what this is. It's another guitar track. Yep, another guitar. So I'll make that red. So I think he played guitar through a bass rig. I think this might actually be an SVT. Alright, everything is good and color coded. We'll go ahead and group up the colors. So all the brown stuff will go with all the brown stuff. Drums up top. I'm going to hide this, that way it doesn't get in my way. Into bass, into the guitars, into the guitar extras, and then I do lead vocals followed by backup vocals. Is this Seth? Is this something I recorded? Is it something I recorded, or you're just mixing? This is something I'm just mixing. So this is Nick out of Illinois. Nick records everything on his own. So he self-produces, he records it all himself. Nick's got some insane gear. Like, I think most of the vocal stuff says SM7B, but I think this one's a U87. Yeah, RE20, yeah, U87 on the bass. That's nuts. 421 on the guitar. So yeah, Nick's got some gear. And he records it 96K. Which is awesome, especially for vocals. Like if you're editing vocals at 96K, that's nice because you have more information to work with, so you can kind of stretch it and pull it and push it how you need to, and you can get away with greater editing, like more flexibility before it becomes like super audible that you're tuning or stretching a vocal. All right, so all of this is labeled, or it's color coded, and it's organized by color. No input. Let's get us, so because I've already mixed one of his songs, I have essentially a template of his tracking. So I've got a template that's already been adapted to his style of tracking. So I'm going to organize these drums really quick. I'm going to put these in order. So there's a kick. There's a sub kick, which I love. It does sound really good in this stuff that he's been sending. Snare top, snare bottom. We'll grab these guys right after the kick drum. I run the overheads. Oh, yeah, overhead, hat, and ride. Right after that, because this to me is like the core of the kit. Like kick, snare, overheads, and then the hat, ride. And that's like, as long as that is rocking with the rooms in there, everything else is going to fall right into place. So floor tom, rack tom, room 1, room 2. I don't know if this is 2 different mono room mics. I treated them like stereos in the last mix. So it says JC Moore. I always do drums on top, rhythm guitars, clean guitars, lead guitars, bass, sub drops, heavy vocal, and lastly clean vocal. That's my top to bottom look on screen when I work. Color coded too. Yeah, sick, dude. I do that. I put like I always do like the core. For me, it's like whatever the meat and taters of the mix is, like whatever's like the main shit Golly, language on the stream. It's so hard. But whatever's like the main stuff that's making the song happen, like drums, bass, guitars, vocals, for me is always like up top. That's like the focus, I guess. And then everything else will fall behind that, like production, ambient stuff, sub drops, like post production effects, all that kind of stuff will fall behind. Unless there's a percussion thing. Percussion I'll put up right up there with the drums because I like to treat that kind of with the drums. But so the drums are organized. We got the kick, snare, overhead hat ride, rack floor rooms. Bass is rocking. I didn't use the U87 track on the last one, but we'll listen to it. The guitars, extra guitars, the vocals. I'm gonna reorder these because I'm crazy and I like order of instance to be top down. So if this is happening first, I want it on top, then here, then there, so on and so forth. In the choir, we'll probably create a folder out of this, but we had something like that in the last mix, so maybe that'll work in the template. So all this is in, all this is orderized how I like it. This is where I'm going to import my session data from the last mix, and that'll give us all the information that we need in order to make this one happen. Here we go. Shift Option I brings up the import session data. We're going to import from Nick's song. Here we go. And mix 3 was the approved mix, so we'll import session data from that. We want the master bus, the mix bus, we want all of these little subfolders. We want the snare, MIDI, we want all this crazy stuff. All of our triggering tracks, which aren't actually really triggering tracks, they're attack tracks. We want all these buses. This doesn't have a lead in it, so I'm just going to turn this leads folder into the guitar extras folder. We've got our main with all the treatments on it. Our harmony vocal, which I'm going to turn this into the choir folder. And then this is all of our crazy effects that we had. Don't import, that way we don't import all the audio data from that mix. And you always want it on new track. Yeah, and we'll worry about all this later on the mix level. This is like my printing system up here. So whenever I print a mix, it prints the drum stem, bass stem, guitar stem, whatever folder hierarchy I have going on. It prints all those as separate stems, and then also prints a mix for outsource mastering, and it prints a loud mix to send to the client. So it's kind of like an all-in-one printing system. Everything you need, you click the button, you got it. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and import all of this. Yep. Do not import. You want that clicked. Super important. And I'm going to click OK. Let the computer crunch the data. Yep, I know. I'm not mixing right now. I don't have my hardware in. We have to disengage all that too. Dang, it did that fast. Probably the fastest my computer has ever done that. Switch everything to small view here. I'm going to switch it all to mini. Mini view. Alright, so we've got... This is where I'll just start grabbing tracks and dragging them down to where they need to be. Kick and sub kick, or right here. Kick and sub kick. Snare, top and bottom. We'll grab the top, we'll grab the bottom, and we drag it down. Toms, tom 1, tom 2. Rack tom, floor tom. Bring those on down. Overhead hat and ride. Overhead hat ride down here. So we just drag that down. Welcome to the party. And the rooms, which I created a stereo track on that. So he must, yeah, okay, I told him if he had any stereo tracks to export it a certain way. So this must be 2 different multi-mono room tracks. But I treated them like stereos and it worked. So I'm just going to do that again. And we'll drag that down there. So that's drums done and in the template. We still have a lot of work to do. This is just getting things in the session. Once things are in the session, we've got a lot to do. This is going to get dense. We're going to get into the weeds, guys. This is a real world prep session. So we got a lot of work to do. That's drums in. I can collapse this folder. And that brings us down to bass. Now bass has a special treatment on this. So bass amp, I used the RE20. I'm dragging the RE20 down. I grab the DI. And then this right here is not the U87 track. I reamped the DI with the Sans amp pedal. And then that's the Sans amp pedal blended in with the DI and the RE20 track, which on him is an Ampeg SVT, and it's ripping. So for now, I'm just going to grab the U87 track and bring that down, just so we can hear it, but that might end up becoming the Ampeg track whenever I go to mix. And we'll take care of that in prep too. We're going to dial up all the amp tones, print them all. So again, we're going to get into the woods. This is probably going to be like a 4 or 5 hour stream. Alright, all the amps down into here. Yeah, 57, 421, 57, 421. This is the benefit of tracking a certain way in the same way every single time, is I've got this template set up to how he tracks. So now anything that he sends me, I can just pop it in this template. So I've adapted this for his workflow. So that's one of those things, like when you've got a return client and you guys are working together frequently, might as well build a template around his workflow. That way it makes your workflow and your editing workflow and prep workflow and routing workflow way easier. So these don't actually have their own dedicated track, but it does have a folder. So we're going to bring it down here and drop them in this folder. And then part of this is I got to route these two. Those are the ones we just drug down. See, they're not going to the right spot. So we'll search for leads. Now those are going to the right spot. And I'm pretty sure that's a stereo situation, so... Oh, it's 2 different guitars. Nope, that's a blend. Look at that. It helps to read. 57 and 421, so that's going to be some kind of a... That probably is a lead, like an overdub lead then. All the vocal stuff. I'm going to close out of this automation and just put everything in waveform. Alright, these have specific channels. Vocal, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge. And then this is like an extra affected thing that I do sometimes. So this looks like a verse. Definitely looks like a verse. So we're pulling the verse down to the verse. This looks either chorusy and or pre-chorusy. So for now I'm pulling it down to the chorus section. And we have to move anything. Like I feel like this is a pre-chorus. So if we have to move anything, we just cut it, move it to where we got to move it. Nope, that says Vox chorus. Okay, this goes up to the pre-chorus. Again, read the labeling, Jordan. Nick is good. Nick labels his audio. Be like Nick. And that's everything in the session outside of these chorus or the choir tracks. I'm gonna go ahead and pump my view up, make sure I'm not accidentally going to delete anything over here, and just kind of snip this really quick. And these are all going to go down to the background vocal tracks. I'm going to hold control on my keyboard so I can't accidentally shift it left to right. See, no matter what I'm doing, can't move it, and just drag it straight on down. And I have to create one more channel in order to make it all work. So we're just going to duplicate this. We don't need the playlist information. And then same thing, hold control so I can't shift it around by mistake, and just drag it down. So now all that's on there, routed to the right spots in the proper channels. It all has effect automation already kind of going, so here's what I'm going to do. Now that I'm done with this, we delete all this information, we don't need it. I'm going to return my waveform view to normal, so I'm not looking at just like massive barcodes. Now because we imported all this session data, because all this came in, I probably imported some effects automation, some bus automation, and some stuff like that. So I've got to delete all that. So in Pro Tools, you just highlight everything, come up to my timeline here, just highlight it all, every track, click Edit, Clear Special, All Automation. So you hit that button. We have a clean slate to work with now. So now we're blank session, everything's been imported to our routing template, so everything's routed to the appropriate folders, everything's going to the mix bus. All we have to do is enable tracks, click in the hardware wherever we want it, and that side's taken care of. Especially like mixing with hardware, that's a big part, is everything's already pre-routed. So I don't have to sit here and like assign inserts and outputs and be worried about, is my patching system correct in Pro Tools? Like, no, it's set. I just unbypass the hardware insert in Pro Tools and it's good to go. Let's see. Seth says, I definitely need to figure out how to use templates. I set my demos up from the same way every time, but I do it manually every time because I'm dumb. No, dude, that's not dumb. Like, that's essentially what I'll end up doing down here in the effects. Like, this is the template's not like mix. It's not for the mix side of things, because I'll end up obliterating a lot of the stuff I had going on in the last mix because this is not that song, you know. So this might not need the same drum treatment as the last song. This might not need the same vocal treatment. You know, this might need a brighter treatment. It might need a darker treatment. So essentially, the only reason I have the template is just for routing. So that's it. It's just it's for routing stuff. And then over here on the side, all these little inactive tracks that we've got going on. If I pop the drums down here, yeah, all the inactive stuff here, like this and this, like these are like the sounds that I was using that I was using to reinforce. So that's like a snare sound and like a room sound. So I don't have to sit there and like go, okay, what snare did I blend in on this to do the thing, and then what room sample did I use? So all that's just baked in the background. So whenever we go to prep, we can just grab that information and just drop it right in, and then print it and then phase align it. But it's all there. Yeah, this one right here. It's got the snare, and this one right here has the snare, and that's what these were. These are the tracks where that was committed to. So because we don't need these anymore, we're going to make new tracks. We can hide those. So this is the actual track. And there should be something like that on the tom side too. Tom's MIDI. Yeah, tom rooms. Yeah. I'm gonna double check that real quick. Okay, yeah, no, those weren't sampled. Those were, I made key spikes out of the toms, and then made like attack tracks out of that. So, we'll go ahead and put all this back to Mini. What are you doing? I missed you. Bounce to master. All right. So now we get to make it all active. This is where the computer blows up. Where are we at? Make active. This is where the computer sees the workload. Fingers crossed. Come on, baby. Activate all the MIDI tracks. And the MIDI stuff is just to fire like room samples. It fires like tom rooms, a kick drum room, snare rooms, just like reinforce like the ambience. Because it's one of those, like, sometimes you're recording in like a smaller space and you want the drums to sound like they're in a bigger space. So fire a bigger space. Let's make all this medium. Alright, I'm going to bypass a lot of this, that way I'm not influenced by what's happening here. Let's make it all, we'll do all this. And get rid of the bus comp. We don't even need that bus right now, we'll mute those. Make them inactive. The trigger, the kick. Yeah. You don't need none of this right now. Something crashes. It's not Corliss' fault. Don't blame me. I won't this time. You've been in here chilling. Like I said, that's a good stream. Yeah, this is the actual mix. You'll notice like there's not plugins on the channel levels. It's because I take all that's already been processed with my outboard. So I'll have to do that again to this mix. I'll have to go in and mix. The entire mix is done. Yeah, the entire mix, like even all this, like none of it's active because it's all printed. The entire mix is all done using those 2 EQs. So I literally have 2 SSL E-channel hardware EQs. The entire mix gets done using those 2 EQs. So I go through and 2 channels at a time, EQ the entire mix. As though I'm on a console. It takes time, yes, but it is worth it. That's why all these say 611. 611. Like everything that says 611 is printed. And then on the vocals, I did it all with, it was all 1073. So the vocals were all printed through the 1073. Just baking them and then using the EQ. Alright, I'm just going to hit play. I guess let me know if you guys have Pro Tools audio. We haven't even tested this yet. We're going to find out. The mix in bus. Bypass this. I'm just going to pop a limiter on for safety. We'll go to setting B and just pull that down to 0. And we don't need 8x oversampling right now. We definitely don't. Alright, let's hear. We have tracks. You guys hear Pro Tools? Is that coming through? When it's something you've recorded, is any or all of this a step you can skip? Nope. This happens every single mix. Doesn't matter. I guess the only thing, if I recorded it, the only thing I would have to skip is importing raw WAV files. Because the way I record is I record into essentially what is this. Like I'll have like a, like by the time we walk away from the session, by the time the tracking's done, it's already like this. It's already prepped and done. Like in the way I track, it's tracked in like a track to completion. Like it's tracked as though I'm not gonna have a chance to do any of this. So by the time I get it back, it's already, all I have to do is what we're getting ready to do now. So that whole step that you just saw, like all that whole process, that doesn't have to happen. It's essentially, yeah, when I leave the studio, we're starting from like right here. Like this moment on. Sick. Yeah, I'll have all this, and then the only thing I'll have to import is like my key spikes and stuff like that. And I'm going to show you guys how we're going to make that. So we're going to get into the woods. And that's where we got to start. So we got to start on the drum side of things. I'm going to solo the drums. And for the sake of saving processing, all this is going to go inactive right now. Just make that inactive. Save the CPU. We're just going to go into edit mode. I'm going to keep the bass alive because bass is fun whenever you're working with drums. It's nice to have something. Just mute that. We'll get the DI track. And I'll pop in the Rev E. There we go. Yeah, because I print right here at the trim plugin, so everything above this bottom trim plugin is what got baked into the print. So we'll keep that alive. And then, oh, we can do our SansAmp thing right now. Let's do it. Sorry, U87. Not sorry. And then that's the amp track right there. Killer. You've got the bass, the actual bass. Let's rock. Just not treated with the 1070 or the 611. hats are super loud. Balancers are way off. No gears hitting the compressors or any of that shit yet. We're not worried about mixing. We're just worried about getting it ready to mix. So, here we go. Let's dive in. This will become a kick key spike. I'm going to relabel this K spike. I'll pop over here. I'm going to delete all these groups. This is all leftover junk from the import. We don't want to accidentally create groups that we're not aware of, and we're going to be screwing ourselves in the background if we do. So I'm going to create an edit group. Command G to create a group. Title it edit. Kick. And anything that says edit, my groups down here on the left, I'll end up deleting before I start mixing. So that's why I just call it edit right there. I can find that, delete it, clear it out whenever it's time to go to the next thing. And then we'll do the same thing with a snare. We're going to create an edit snare group. Command G. Edit. Snare. Toms don't have to create an edit group. Those are the only two edit groups we have to make right now. So let's dive into this kick drum. Now you have to be very conscious of what groups are turned on and which groups are not turned on in this process. Quick key whenever your focus, these little focus windows here, whenever your focus is in your edit window, Shift Command G will disable, enable all your groups. So we'll be using that quick key a lot throughout this. So right now all my groups are active. I want them active. Actually, just kidding, I don't. Shift Command G, turn them off. So now it only selects the channel that I want selected. So the kick in, because in space and time the kick in physically happens before the kick out mic, I'm going to use that as my edit point. So that's why I unlink that. We're going to select it. Shift Command 8. Hey yo. Sorry, Command 8, no shift. Command 8 to pull up our buddy, Mr. Beat Detective. We're not going to be editing anything to time. We're not messing with the tempo. We're not messing with the time. We're not even in an accurate grid. So we're not binding ourselves to any of that. We're going to let Nick's song be Nick's song. We're not being hired to edit. We're being hired to mix. We're being hired to make this song sound good. So that's what we're going to do. And then if we do run into a couple little things down the road that we do want to clean up, we can do that. But we start on clip separation. You want to go to not enhanced. It's a weird thing you got to think about. So high emphasis means high end information, not low end information. So it's frequency spectrum. So high end travels faster than low end. So the attack of the beater is going to be hitting the microphone before the low end of the kick. So you want to trigger off of high emphasis off of the kick in microphone. Trigger pad, this will screw you. You want it at 0. So you hit capture selection, hit analyze. I'm going to zoom in and just make sure I'm not getting any weird double triggers, any weird false triggers with this slider here. So we've got this little kick build right here. I'm going to use this as a metric. Oh, we have soft kicks over here too. So this is a good spot to do this. So soft kick drum, we've got a kick build, and we have some snare bleed. We only want to trigger the kicks, not the snares. So we're going to dial it in with the sensitivity slider here. Let's keep going, keep going. Oh, right there, I'm getting that first kick right there on that little build up. Give it to me. Boom, I got it. So once you get this, turn your edit group back on, Shift Command G. I'm going to select the bottom. Now what that did is that applied that trigger point, like all those trigger points we made, that applied that exact point in time down to the sub kick instead of creating new trigger points for the sub kick and screwing up our phase whenever we're going to do this. So it's one metric to go by. And after we have that selected, click separate. And we're done with you for now until we get to the snare. So our edit group is selected, very important. And we're going to go through really quickly and just make sure we don't have any points where we accidentally put a cut on a snare drum or something, because this part is extremely important. JC Moore, I should really learn key commands and lot. Yeah, dude, it'll literally save months of your life. Like if you do this professionally, you might even get years back in key command time. You're flying through stuff with key commands, and it's just making me super jealous. Oh, dude, there's dudes out there that make me look like I'm a fucking sloth. Like, whenever I go into like a really big studio and I just see like a dude and his entire job is he's not a mixer, he's not a nothing else. The only thing he does is operate Pro Tools for like A-list dudes. That dude is the Olympic athlete of Pro Tools. Like it's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm gonna go through really quick. We're gonna make sure that we don't have any false triggers from our edits. You can do it pretty visually because the kicks are gonna be the loudest waveforms. So let's go through. If you have any questions about it, you just listen. I think all kicks. These are all kicks. These are all kick. And what is this? Kicks. So as you start to edit through a song, you can get a feel for what the waveform of everything looks like. So you'll really start to learn like, all right, that's what the snare waveform looks like, or this is what the shape of the tom waveform looks like. So you can make really quick, intuitive decisions. That just comes with diving in and doing it a lot. Yeah, all this is kicks. This is all kicks. All kicks, that's safe. This is all kicks, that's all safe. And this is all kicks. No kicks got missed? No kick drum left behind. If you leave one behind, you're fired. No, you're not. There's a way to get it back if you do. And I'm going to show you that too. What's happening here? Is that a double kick? Let's listen to it. It is, and we got them both. Good. Did that grab a snare? No, it did. Okay. Yeah, we're safe. This is... Ooh, zooming too fast. This is all kick territory. Kicks. Kicks. Alright, I'm going to trim this really quick. Key Command A will delete everything in front of your selection, like this. And then Key Command S will delete everything behind your selection, like this. So I'm just going to select here and hit S. Boom, it's trimmed. I hit Enter to go to the top of the session. I hit Tab to go to the top of the kick drums. Alright, that's good. All those trigger points we've checked were super solid. No weird missed cuts. We're not accidentally cutting on snares. We're not accidentally cutting on toms. Now here, this is important. You need to create a safety net at this point. Because if you're just learning all this stuff, it doesn't matter what level you're on, if you're just starting this, if this is your first time ever learning this technique, this is my like 1000th time doing this, you still make mistakes. So you want the safety net. And this is what I was saying, in case you miss a kick, this is going to save your ass. So with both of these highlighted, Shift Option will make, I hold Shift, I hold Option, and whatever I do here is going to apply to both these tracks. So I'm going to hit the drop down arrow, we're going to duplicate the playlist. Duplicate main playlist. Boom. So whenever I go to the playlist view, we have our unscrewed up, we haven't screwed anything up, our trigger points are still intact, kick drum. We can always go back to, no matter what. So if we absolutely botch something, we can go back. We have a safety net. Let's go back to waveform. Alright. Important step. The kick edit group for the kick drums has to be applied. So make sure that this is turned on, otherwise you're going to screw things up really bad. First thing we do, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to highlight all the kick drums. Before I get into this, shout out to Andrew Wade. If it was not for his video on YouTube, I would not know how to do this, and I would not have kind of adapted that to this workflow. So he's got a video out there called the Dreamgate Method. That's where I learned how to do this. He has kind of his own way of doing it. I took his method and adapted it to my own workflow. This is how I've kind of spun it to make it work for me. But everything's selected. Command F to bring up the batch fade prompt. This is important. You want all of these unselected. We're not going to create crossfades. We're not going to create any fade outs. We're only going to create a fade in. You want it to be 20 milliseconds. That fade in is going to be what we call a safety fade. So this is going to keep us safe from accidentally deleting a kick in this next step. So all of these are things you have to do in order to make this process work correctly and keep your ass safe in this batch editing process. Like, you can go through and do this all one at a time. That's cool. If you want to be sitting there for like 10 years trying to edit a record, go for it. Batch editing is your friend. So here we go. 20 milliseconds, create new fade-ins, adjust anything to be this new length and slope. No fade outs, no crossfades. 20 milliseconds. Important. Hit the button. So now every single kick has a safety fade. So the attack of the kick drum is preserved no matter what we do. Alright, moving forward. Over here in your hyper tool selection, you've got like all your little pointer selector tools, editing tools and Pro Tools essentially. You have your grabber tool here. You want to drop down, right click it, select object. You want to be in object mode. This is important. Again, our edit group is selected. Let me highlight all these tracks. You'll have a little tiny yellow box around everything. Now, essentially what we're going to be doing in this editing process is, instead of having to like set up a gate in like an SSL channel strip, or having to go in and set up like a side chain that opens up a gate with a spike, we're just going to manually clean the kick. But we're manually going to clean every kick in a batch fashion. So now that you have every single region here selected, we're going to go to our nudge value. I'm going to type in 10,000. Now, our nudge commands, I've got the full-size keyboard with a number pad, so I'm going to be using the plus and the minus over here for my nudging. So when I hit Command minus, you'll see what just happened. Everything just got shortened by 10,000 samples. So that's my sample value. It's 10,000 samples. So I'm going to hit it again. Boom, everything just got shortened again by 10,000 more samples. So I'm just going to keep on hitting this button. And you'll see right here, these ones got saved by the fade. If I didn't have that fade, that would have like nudged all the way to infinity, and that kick drum would have disappeared. You can't nudge past a fade. So that's why you do the safety fade. That keeps this batch nudge from screwing up your kick drums. So keep on going until you can't go no more. And then I'm going to cut this value in half. I'm going to go 5,000. Go till you can't go no more. Thank goodness for safety fades. We cut it in half. 2,500. And go till you can't go no more. Now I'm going to go all the way down to 250. And we're just going to trim them all the way down until it's all a little tiny blip. Look at that. All the kick drums are just little tiny blips. And that safety fade's keeping us safe. I'm going to go even farther. I'm going to go down to 10. The only thing I want is a safety fade. So that should be the entire track. Nothing but safety fades. So what we've done is that's the kick drum, but that's the first 20 milliseconds of the kick drum. That's it. That's the first 20 milliseconds. So going the opposite direction, if Command minus makes it smaller, Command plus is going to make it bigger. So I'm going to switch this to 50. 50 samples. You'll notice we have an attack, a down, and an up on the waveforms. I want an attack, a down, and like a half of an up. So I'm going to hold Command, I'm going to hit plus, and we're going to get some of this kick drum information back. It's coming back. About right there. Now this is an important step. Shift Command G, turn your groups off. We're gonna create something out of this really quick that we're gonna use later. So we're gonna take our kick in. I'm gonna unselect. I'm gonna make sure it's not highlighted. Both those tracks. I'm only gonna highlight the kick in, and we're gonna duplicate this. Okay. Pull it up here. Oop! I forgot to click the. We need the active playlists. I forgot. So we'll duplicate. Active playlist. We need that. This is our copy. This right here is going to be our kick spike track. So we're going to mute this for now. back to our original kicks. Shift-Command-G, reactivate our group before we go on. Move this to about 250. And then this is where we're manually gating our kick drum. So this is the release time of our manual gate. Command, plus. And you keep pushing it until you see that decay of the kick drum kind of becomes something else. See the kick out? We're making sure we get all the kick out bloom. We want that. Pro Tools is trying to keep up. I pushed the button too many times. Okay, you can stop. It's too long. You can stop. Alright, I'm going to shrink it back down a little bit. I went too far. There we go. So it kind of ends before that snare hits, because I don't want that snare bleed in the kick drum. Sometimes that'll cause weird phase problems in the low end of your snare drum. Alright, so that's done. Every single kick hit is now the exact same length as though we've just gated it perfectly without having to trigger it with MIDI. Yeah, every single one of them. Look at that. Boom, it's a cleaned up kick drum. So we're going to switch this back to regular time mode, re-engage our super tool. We're going to highlight everything down. Oh, you're in my group. Shift-Command-G, turn the group off. Highlight everything down here. And we're going to right-click right here and then delete the fades. So now our safety fade is gone. But we've still accidentally clipped off some of the attack of the kick drum. How do we get that back? Well, let's batch do it. Let's go ahead and regain the attack of the kick drum on every single kick all at the same time. So I'm going to go back to my nudge. I'm going to switch this down to 50. Now, Command plus and minus, this is important. So Command plus and minus will change the tail length based off the nudge value. Control plus or minus will shift the regions within the region clip. It'll shift the audio within the actual edit. So this is what's called a slip edit. So we're going to slip the audio behind the edit points, behind our cut points. We're going to essentially take the audio behind that and slip it. So check this out. Control plus, or I'm going to go control. I want to say it's control minus. Let's find out. Yep, control minus. Boom. So I'm going to zoom in really far to one of these kicks. Everything's selected. I have all the kicks on this in this highlighted. So right here, control minus. I'm going to click it 2 times with nudge selected at 50. Watch the attack of this kick drum. So 1, 2. It shifted back. Now how do I make that kick drum go back in time? Let go of the control button. Keep your finger on the minus button. Click it twice. 1, 2. So every single kick drum has just been shifted by 100 samples within your edit point. You double tap it twice and it shifts every region 100 millisecond or 100 samples back. So it keeps everything perfectly in time. You've just restored the attack of every single kick drum, and then everything is cleaned up without any snare bleed or any other bleed in your kick drum track. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do another batch fade. Command F to bring up our batch fades. And we're going to switch this to 10 because we shifted it by 100 milliseconds. So we're let's go ahead and make it 2. So we'll go 2 milliseconds on the fade in, create new fades, adjust, all that stuff. You have to put a crossfade because those little double kicks, those like double kick hits, all of those are going to be now pushed into each other. So we have to add a crossfade, pre-slice, and then our fade out. Let's try 100 milliseconds and see what that looks like. Here we go. Looks great. So we're going to take this, Shift Option 3, creates a new audio file, commits it, and we now have a kick in clean, and we now have a sub kick clean. Rename this real quick. And those are now cleaned up and gated. That's a cleaned up kick drum track. No weirdness is going to happen on the kick drum. Now coming back to our attack track that we built. This is another really important piece. So I'm going to highlight all these little tiny blips that we made. This is where we remember we kept that first 20 milliseconds intact. We duplicated that and brought that back. So we're going to bring that right here, highlighted them all, right click on it, delete fades. This is still set to 50. We're going to do the same thing. Control, minus, 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 minus. I hit it 4 times. So I let go, I hit minus again 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to create any fades on this track. Shift option, I'm going to go ahead and create the exact same selection. Shift option 3. This is now my kick spike track. And I'm going to make it red. And now I can delete this. That's kick drums done. That's prepped. That's prepped. That's good to go. So what this does is now we have our kick drum. I'm going to solo this out. I'll let you kind of hear what that editing did to it. So the kick spike, this is cool. It's just a tick. That way, if you want to drop, like, say, Steven Slate trigger on there, you can get a perfect trigger every single time without getting a misfire. If you want to make MIDI information, which we're going to do, you can use, like, Massey DRT off of that track to get flawless MIDI translation that also has 100% of the dynamics of the original performance intact. So this is the way, if you're going to resample your drums, if you're going to add samples, this is how you keep it natural. This is how you reinforce a drum set instead of replacing a drum set. Because this has the dynamic performance of the original take in it whenever you decide to create MIDI information, or whether you decide to throw a sample on there or trigger it. It'll at least follow the dynamics of the original performance. This is important. This is imperative to my workflow. I need this on every single shell. So I do this with the kick, I do this with the snare, I do this with the toms. And then down here, I'll use that to fire room samples in order to essentially just change the environment that the drum set was played in. So that's kick drum. You'll never guess what's next. Snare. And then on this one, you'll notice we have the attack track right here, snare attack. And then we also have a snare MIDI track. So after we make the snare attack track, I'm going to show you how we make the MIDI off of the attack track. So here we go. Snare time. So first thing I do is disable my groups, Shift Command G. I only want to fire information off the top snare because that happens first. Command 8, I open up Beat Detective, I capture the selection. I'm in high emphasis, I hit Analyze. And I'll zoom in and make sure I'm just grabbing all the snares. I'm missing a snare here, I'm missing a bunch of snares there. I'm not going to bring it down that hard because I don't want to trigger off of hi-hats and weirdness. So this one's going to need a little tiny bit of cleanup. It'll be okay. We're engineers, that's what we do. We're not afraid to clean up. So re-engage my group, grab the bottom track, separate it. Command 8 to get rid of that window. Take both of these, Shift Option, duplicate main playlist. We just created the safety net. Alright, moving onward. We can't do the super fancy editing tricks yet because we have to clean up the snare. Make sure that we're firing off all the right spot. So this is Dead Space. Good video game, by the way. Dead Space. And then another beauty of doing this is you're also cleaning all that dead air before the drums. So we got rid of all the dead air on the kick drum. We're going to get rid of all the dead air on the snare drum. We're going to get rid of all the dead air on the hi-hats, the brides, the overheads. We're getting all that weird, the weird editing ticks and pops and like ambient stuff that distracts you from like the intro of a song is. We're going to get rid of all that. So this is not a snare. We need to get rid of that. That's not a snare. We need to get rid of that. That's not a snare. Is that a snare? Let's listen. We need to see if that is a snare. That is a snare. Let's keep going. That's not a snare. Don't need that. These are all snares, looking good. All right, right here, tab to transient, this window right here, up in the corner, top left. I want that turned on. And when you zoom in and you hit the tab function, it'll just move the cursor from transient to transient. Transient to transient. I have this mapped on my mouse. So whenever I click this button, I go from transient to transient. And then in Pro Tools, whenever you hit the B command, B is short for break. So you hit B, it creates the cut. On my mouse, I have that mapped. I click this button, it makes the cut. So I'll take my mouse and I'll just click, cut, click, cut. On a keyboard, you can tab B, tab B, tab B, in order to get this done in a macro way. But I like having this mouse. This thing has sped my workflow up so much. Like just tap cut, it's done. Right here, snare flam, tap cut. Snare flam. Uh-oh. All right, it's not gonna let me grab this one. Let me make sure that is a snare flam. It is a snare flam. So got to do this one the manual way. You go in, I highlight it, I'm gonna hit cut, or B on the keyboard, whichever one you got. Tab. It's not gonna give it to me, is it? Nope. I'll zoom in, grab right here, cut. All right, let's go ahead and go through this. Make sure we don't have any more weird snare misfires. That's all good. It's all snares. This is all snares, snares, snares. That's all snares. No misfires. This is not a snare. We don't need you. We don't need you. We don't need you. You're not welcome to the party. Get out of here. You didn't get the invite. Snares only. All right. Same thing here. We've missed, looks like we missed a couple snares. Yep, missed 2 snares. So we'll tab, cut, tab, cut. Looks like I missed a snare here. Let's grab it. Snare roll. Every single hit. This is some deep knowledge on snare mixing, guys. This is one of those things. If you can make this, if you can steal anything I do, steal this. This is going to be a snare saver in your mixes. This is going to make pretty much any snare at all you get punchy as fuck. Here we go. Little snare flam there. You got to grab them both. Zoom in, make the cut. You're a badass. Do it. Don't skimp. Make the cut. It's like all that's good. No misfires. What do we have here? It missed a snare. Missed 2 snares. Pro Tools being prejudiced against the snare drum, man. Yeah. And those safety fades we made whenever we were processing the kick drum, we'll keep all this intact. Snare. Screwed the pooch on that one. What about this one? Will it give it to me? No, we're manually doing them both. Let's do it. Click it, snap it. Where you at? Click it, snap it. All this is solid. This is all no misfires. That's a misfire. We need that. And it's one of those things, like I said, once you get like I'm down to like 2nd gear right now. Whenever you're in the zone, you kick it into 5th, 6th gear on this, you can knock through this and you can do an entire song in like an hour. Hour and a half. Depending on like the density of the song. Like if you're doing like Norwegian black metal, you're gonna need a day. Spend like an hour on kicks on that. But songs like this is an hour-long edit. All right, so snare drum. We've got all of our chop points are made. No misfires. I'm gonna click there, hit the S button to trim the out. Get rid of that dead air. And then I'm going to make another duplication now that it's been cleaned up. So now I have a cleaned up safety net. Same as before. Highlight it all. Command F to bring up our fade prompt. Turn all the crossfade options off. Turn all the fade out options off. And we want the 20 millisecond safety fade. Adjust it to fit, because some of those flams are going to be smaller than 20 milliseconds. Right click, select object, make sure our selection tool is the only thing in place. And we're going to highlight all of the clips. Remembering that your edit group for the snares is enabled during this process. We're going to go 10,000. It's just a good starting spot. I don't know. Pick whatever number you like the most. For me, it was 10,000. Command minus. Shrinking it. Having the snare attack on this, and not using the snare attack to trigger stuff, is a pretty sick life hack. Sorry guys, I didn't know my camera went black there for a while. It's back. But yeah, having that snare attack track to blend in with your snare after we do this treatment on it is a life hack in adding punch to your snare. Like, it's almost like having, I don't know, you'll hear the benefits of this. This is huge. That's what I'm gonna tell you. If you steal anything I do, steal this. So 10,000, drop this down to 5,000, and we're gonna make it small. And 2,500, make it small. And we'll go down to 500 and make it small. And then we're gonna go down, I'm gonna go down to 50 and keep it going until the only thing we have is 20 milliseconds of attack on that snare drum. Disengage the edit group, click on the snare top, right click it, duplicate it. I want the active playlist, I don't want the group assignments. Click OK. This is going to become our snare attack, or our snare punch track. Re-engage your groups. My snare edit group is re-engaged. And then we're going to switch this over to 250, and we're going to bring the snare length out until our snares are hitting right. Command plus. We need more than, it's 25, not 250. I was like, where is it at? 250. Command plus. And we just extend all the snares out by the same length. This is how you mix like real drums to compete in the modern market. By the way, this is it. This is how you do it. This is how you deliver like a real recorded drum sound that people are gonna think is sampled, but it's not. You're gonna go, fuck no, it's not, motherfucker. I swear to God, it's not sampled. Tell me that again, I'm gonna smack you into tomorrow. Because we have pride in what we do. Whenever you can get a drum sound without samples, that sounds like it has samples. It's a moment. I want to make sure I have good decay on the drums. Good decay, yeah. So it's kind of starting to decay into nothing there. Kind of starting to decay into nothing. Essentially, doing by hand what an SSL channel strip gate is going to end up doing anyway. So, people that turn their nose up at this, I say, I turn my nose up at your gate, because it's doing the exact same thing, just not as well. Alright, so everything has been selected. We've extended it all out. We're going to go back to time and then re-engage our super tool. Highlight them all. Right click and delete the fades. Switch this into 50. And then instead of hitting command, we're going to hit control. Control, minus, 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 minus. I hit it 4 times. Let go of control. 1, 2, 3, 4. That snare's done. I'm going to hit the P I'm going to hit the P key. P is also a way to navigate. P goes up and your semicolon goes down. So I'm going to take that same selection, P on up. Don't ever P up. Right click on this. delete fades, control, minus, 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 minus. I'm gonna do it on 5 times. And we'll go, let go control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We now have a snare spike track. I'm gonna take my semicolon key, selection down, Command F, bring it up to fade prompt, switch this down to 2. We want to create crossfades, pre-slice, 1 millisecond, and we're going to create a fade out at 100 milliseconds. Adjust it to fit. Awesome. I'm not going to commit this yet because we still have to go through and check this in case we made a mistake. Snares can be a little finicky. Kick drum, you can just go, done. We have to give the snare track a listen. Here we go. I'm going to mute this attack track for now, and I'll show you what that does here in a minute. See, and because we had all that dead space at the front, right here, we were able to create a fade without affecting the attack of the snare. Does that sound like it is a terribly edited snare drum? No, that sounds like a badass snare just that you can put right in your face without having any crazy fucking bleed. Just for kicks, let's listen to the spike track. And I'll show you, this is cool because if you're going to use this to generate MIDI information, all your dynamics of stuff like this is intact. Check that out. And then if I take this is the life hack. This is a hack. If I'm listening to the regular snare, and if I take this without triggering it and just bring this in, it's going to make the snare sound like a sample. I'm going to put this on a loop and I'll do this. Check this out. See that? Who needs a sample now? It's done. Just, there you go. You have your consistency and your punch. It's all right there. Right in that attack. One more time. So this is this section without the attack we made. And this is just adding the attack. Awesome. Like, you don't even have to trigger a sample now. But if you want to, like I do, I'll use that, make velocity accurate, like performance accurate MIDI, and then trigger different environments with that. So it's the exact same drums. I'm using the attack track to get awesome modern punch out of the snare, but it's also changing the studio that the drum was recorded in. But it's still his drum set. Here we go. All this is good. It's the fast stuff. You want to check the fast stuff and make sure that doesn't get weird. Just makes it sound like you're firing a sample, but it's his drum. You know. All that's good. Any more fast stuff? Yep, we got some fast stuff here. Let's get some flammy fast. Yep, it's all human. There we go. Rock solid. Did it screw that hit up? No, I did not. It was just a soft hit. Here we go. Check these flams. And it just cleans the cymbals up so much, man. gets way more spread out of the cymbals doing this. Great. Check the ending. Tight. That snare's done. So now we get to go in. Shift Option 3. I'm going to take this guy. This now becomes our snare attack track. I'm going to move it on up. There we go. Shift Option 3. Oh, I missed it. Ah! Shift Option 3. And I'm going to make it red. There we go. This track I can now get rid of. Delete. And this is the snare bottom. Clean. And this will be snare top. Clean. It's not a 611 yet because we haven't processed that. So kicks and snares. That kick spike does the exact same thing too with the kick drum, by the way. If I take this and listen to the kick. It just adds like that super consistent attack to everything. So kick spike done. Snare attack spike done. Now I can take these two edit groups I made and I can delete them before I start screwing anything up. And I got some questions coming in, so I'm gonna switch this over here and we're gonna get into question mode. Switch it over to chat. Ah! There it is. Sorry, guys. I accidentally clicked a button. I have my vocal mic muted. But yeah, it says, if you're mixing someone who used programmed drums, do you prefer to have raw wave files generated out of the one pieces, or generated out of the kit, just the MIDI or both? It would be... I would like to have... Honestly, I'd probably just the printed shell information. Printed shell information for sure. Printed, just print it. It's just one of those, like, I'll just take the shells and I'll generate the MIDI how I normally would. Like, I wouldn't have to go in and do like all this crazy cleanup. I would do the attack stuff. I would actually make the attack tracks out of the program shells. But yeah, I'd still take it and still generate MIDI the way I generate it. So I would just send just shells. Am I back? You got me back? Yeah, I'm coming through. Okay. All right, switching back over. All right. Yeah, that was weird. Sorry, guys. I don't know why, like, oh, boom. Sorry. Switching back and forth live. Sorry, kids. Yeah, I don't know why they had my vocal mic muted in that scene. Sorry. All right, back into the song. Back into the prep. So these are a couple samples I have baked into the template. We're not going to fire those yet. I'm going to take the snare attack track that we made and I'm going to show you how I generate MIDI with it. So There's an awesome plugin. It's called Massey DRT. I don't know if they have like a VST or like an audio unit version of it. I know they definitely have the AAX version, but it shows up as an audio suite, and it's here in the instruments. Massey DRT. This thing is sick. This is my favorite tool to take MIDI information to take shell information and turn it into MIDI. So what you do is you make a selection. Right here, I'm going to select all in the snare attack track, and you hit analyze. Boom, and then it takes all those spikes, like all those hits that we made, and it puts a little tiny blip on every single one of them. All of that right in there. Let me zoom in really quick, make sure it's getting this. Yeah, every single one of those spikes we made is getting a trigger now. And it's not false triggering, so I don't have to go in and clean this MIDI up as much later. One of the coolest things about this program, though, is I can, if the drummer is a little bit overly dynamic, I can fix that before I even generate the MIDI. So check this out. This is essentially a MIDI compressor. So I can compress the MIDI dynamics, or I can expand the MIDI dynamics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the dynamics down a little tiny bit. I'm going to bring the overall volume up so we get a really good consistent crack out of any MIDI information we're going to get. I mean, I don't want to flatline it, that's terrible. But we'll keep a little bit of good life in it. All right, flatten it out a little bit more here. About in there. That way we have a super consistent underbed happening. And then I'm going to switch this over on my snare MIDI track. I'm going to switch this to clips. And then right here, MIDI drag and drop. You grab it, you drag it down. It's done! The snare MIDI is made! I'm not going to delete these settings yet, though. I'm going to keep these settings up, because the second you close this program, it's going to change the settings. Keeping it up. One thing we have to do, because trigger, I have my trigger is weird for some reason. It won't fire off of C0. So I have to change mine to C1. Life hack, if you have to do this, switch over to relative grid. That way it doesn't automatically snap to the grid. So I'm going to bring this up to C1. And you heard my room sample fire. That's my actual tracking studio. That's High Street Studios in Bowling Green. There we go. Now we have sample accurate, dynamic accurate, phase accurate MIDI that we can use to fire anything we want. So now I can pull, you'll notice here in Pro Tools, this is going to multiple places. Whenever I pull this up, it should also be fed to these two instances as well. So I'm going to make these active. Yeah, see, boom. It's going to 3 different places at once. So it's firing, being sent out to 3 different triggers. Yeah, it's firing this sample, which is a real snare sample. And then it's firing this one, which is the super staticky snare sample. So that's MIDI done, ready to rock. And again, that's another one of those humongous benefits of importing the data from another session. All that MIDI routing is done. I don't have to go in and reroute to 3 more instances of trigger for reinforcing the snare with a real snare sample, firing off another room sample. It's all done. So once you create the information, you drop it right into the template. Boom, it's all pre-routed going where it's got to go. So that's snare MIDI done. That's kick drum done. Snare MIDI done. Snare is done. Fully prepped, like done. See, so it's like it's already starting to come together. There's already really good separation and like really good, but it still feels like a drum set. It doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel like overly modern, basically. So kick drum done, snare drum done. You can close those out. That's prepped. That's prepped. We're not mixing yet. We're just prepping. Toms. Let's get into it with the toms. Multiple ways to approach tom editing and tom prep. I'm gonna try because the last song he sent, the toms were pre-stripped. These ones aren't, so I'm gonna see what kind of low end we have in the toms to work with to begin with, and that'll determine kind of how we're gonna edit the toms. So let's see what's up with that. It's really good low end. I'm going to try to keep as much of that intact as I possibly can. So, here we go. Tom editing. I'm going to be doing a lot of this using that A and that S quick key in order to delete pre, delete post. And you're going to see me using a lot of the tab and cut on my mouse when I do this. So let's go ahead and check it out. So the tom right there, I'm going to tab to the transient, and I'm going to hit A to get rid of everything in front of it. Boom, another tom. That's probably a tom too. That's tom. We're gonna get to know Tom really well by the end of this. Tom's gonna be a friend. Anybody remember Tom from Facebook? Is he hitting the rack tom there too? I can't tell. No, he's not. Okay, totally different pitch. So safety cut, get rid of that, safety cut, get rid of that, safety cut, get rid of that. We don't need that. All right, and a safety cut. Here we go. Nothing happening here. What is happening there? It's gotta be all on the snare, right? There ain't no way that's happening on the tom. Let's find out. Pop, pop. There's the two pop, 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 pop. Yep. Yeah, that's all snare. Freaked me out. I thought I didn't have a tom hit there for a second. I was missing a tom. Sometimes it's scary. You know, I'm just going through and cleaning it up. Getting rid of all this stuff. Now, on this stuff, I'm not creating, you'll notice I'm not actually creating individual hits on these spikes. I'm trying to save as much of this tom sound as I possibly can. I'm not just going to use this to go nuts. That's a tom. Safety cut. That's a tom. Safety cut. Okay, no more toms for the entire rest of the song until the very end. Alright, that's got the toms pretty isolated, but we have one step further. We need to save all the low end. We need to keep it all intact. How do we do that? We go to Audio Suite. We open up a single band EQ. Pro Tools EQ1. Where are we at? One band. Ba-boom. Nice and gentle. And I'm going to put this around, yeah, we'll call it 600. Let's go even lower. Let's go 500. And let me just go to our tom tracks. Alright, I'm up here writing things. Don't need to be writing things. Select it. Go up to the transient and hit render. What that's going to do is it's going to allow the very high end of the transient through. It's going to allow it to just punch right through. But then it's going to immediately dampen all the high end and the decay of that tom. So check this out. It just lets the attack through, but all that low end still gets to bloom. And then you can kind of adjust it from there just by grabbing this and pulling this out wherever you need to. So we're just going to go through really quick. Render this out on these toms. I wish there was a way to batch this one out. There probably is. There's probably like some crazy variation of what I was doing earlier that I could use to finesse a selection on a... Yeah, I probably could. No, yeah, you could do this. Well, that's the next thing I'm going to teach myself once I get off the camera today. I'm going to learn the key commands to take the Dreamgate editing method to the next level and batch edit the crossover fades on the toms to preserve the low end. This is all stuff you have to do before you mix the song. This is why, like, all the top dudes, they say, like, don't prep and mix on the same day. You want to do all your preps on one day. That way, when you wake up the next day, you're not sitting there just wore out and beat down from the prep work. You're just totally, like, the gas tank is full, and you're good to sit there and just run a marathon off of inspiration, instead of coming off of a whole bunch of like technical analysis kind of stuff, and then having to be like creative and having music inspire decisions. Tom? Oh no, I bet you, yep, I'm missing toms. Look at me. Bad. Bad Jay, missing toms. We can't do that. Just a little cleanup work. Just a little cleanup work. Render you out. That's a snare hit. We don't need that. That's a snare hit. We don't need that. Yeah. And we just go through and we knock this out for every single tom track. That's this dude, you're going there. And that's it. Oh, nope, that's not it. I missed the very last toms. Almost missing toms again, man. What the fuck? Yeah, there is a tom hit in there and there. Alright. And we bring up our good old buddy, Mr. Batch Fade. Command F. We don't want fade ins. We do want cross fades, and we want fade outs. But I'm just going to do a 50 millisecond fade out. Sick. Now all I have to do is make some MIDI information for this really quick. And we're going to fire off... Oh, my darn camera. All I have to do is make some MIDI information for this real quick, and then we're going to fire off some room samples. And as always, we create a safety net. Duplicate. Come on down. We're going to go ahead and lock this edit in. That's done. And we bring up our buddy Mr. Massey DRT. Instrument, Massey DRT. And we do actually have to be careful with this one because of we're not firing off of key spikes here. We're firing off of actual audio. So we will have to go in and be a little bit more finesseful with this one. So we'll analyze it. I'm going to select this because this only needs to be, I believe, one hit. Yeah, just one hit. So we're going to get rid of these super quiet hits with this slider here, sensitivity. Make it less sensitive. Yeah, it's got all the right hits on that. I think... Yep. Oh, no. I don't have the full version. See, this is the free version. Just, again, free plugin. $100, I just need to shell it out, but I'm going to have to go in and do a little bit of cleanup. It'll be okay. Sweet. Dunzo. We'll grab it, and we'll drop it. Tom 1 MIDI. Grab this while we have this setting. Reset. Analyze. I screwed that one up there. I just realized that. I forgot to finesse the hit velocities. So I'm going to drag and drop this one. I'm going to delete this one. And with these settings, I'm going to reset that. Reanalyze that. And drag and drop it with the finessed velocities. Sweetness. Now, just for the sake of the cleanup, I'll drag these down here. We'll pop open some like velocity markers, and we'll be able to really quickly see if we actually have any double triggers. Solid, solid, all that's good. No double trigger, all that's good. This is all good. No double trigger, no double trigger. All solid, no double trigger. That's all good. This was the one that had the double trigger. Yeah, we don't need that. That's a double trigger right there. Get rid of that. Be gone with you. Move along. Uh-oh. That's going to need some finessing right here. Zoom in. Check this out. Yeah, there's a hit that's missing in this. So, let's grab that. Switch you to notes. Copy that. And our good old tab transient buddy. Go down. And we'll paste these in manually. Now we have them. That's a quieter hit, so we drop it down. Moving on. Oh, it's just the last hits. Yeah, that's missing a hit too. Paste it on in there. That's the MIDI. She's done. Hey Andy, what's up, dude? Are tuned to do a mix crit today? Hell yeah, no. I'm doing some mix prep, buddy. Going in, I got a song I have from scratch, and I'm prepping it out for mix tomorrow. So I'm taking a song just from raw tracks to fully prepped out. We've done, so far we've made it through kick drum, made kick spikes, cleaned it all up. It's manually hand gated, same thing. We've got snare top and bottom hand clean, snare attack tracks, essentially, well, we did get a spike track, but instead of making like a MIDI instrument, it was just the first 20 milliseconds of the snare punch. And then got that, firing some snare MIDI, firing some room samples, and just finessing out the tom MIDI now. So, yeah, doing that. Gonna use this to fire off some tom room samples. I just have to shift this up to C1 because my Steven Slate trigger has a bug. Yeah, see? There's our Tom 1 room sample right there. And we'll bring this on up to fire our Tom 2 room sample, which, again, that's High Street Studios here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's my actual track in space. So the room is my actual room that I know like the back of my hand. Bring this on up. Mute my vocal mic, and we'll kind of see how this is. Sweet. Tom rooms are Tom rooming. They're firing. I'm going to switch everything. I'm going to switch all these back to small. So that's the snare. Done. Kick. Done. Tom's done. All the rooms done. We just have to get rid of any weird dead air in the beginning and dead air at the end. Those are my rooms. Shit. Mute that. His room's not as alive as mine. My room's alive. And I'll listen to my room real quick. Yeah, my room's just got snare in that room's alive as hell. Alright. We're getting ready to do some daunting work here, guys. This is the stuff that everyone's gonna start looking at me going, this guy's fucking crazy. But this is the stuff that matters. For me at least, for snare, for imaging. I'm gonna listen to the drums. Let me mute my vocals real quick and determine if this is something I have to do here. Alright. We're gonna do it. We're gonna clean the hats and the rides. It's time. So, cleaning up the hats, cleaning up the rides. And I mean like cleaning it. Wherever the hi-hat and the snare are not playing at the same time, you take the snare out of the hi-hat. So that helps keep the snare smack in the middle of the mix and the width of the snare and the overheads. So this is going to get dense. Here we go. Let me solo just the drums. We don't need the bass right now. And let the party begin. It's a party doing it, but it keeps the snare smack in the middle of the stereo image. And again, it just cleans up dead air. It's one of those things. So all this in the ride's probably getting ready to go anyway. So I'll end up cleaning that too. Like a fucking psycho. And we just got ride symbol for the first time. Yes! First time on the ride. So yeah, I know, like, sorry guys, I keep on forgetting, like, my camera has like a dumb 30-minute timer thingy on it. But, you know, so going through and processing things this way, it's lower, hold on. What you talking about? What you talking about? I have a stream of, alright. But yeah, one of the benefits of cleaning up the low end and or the snare out of these tracks is just it keeps the snare smack in the middle of the stereo image. And then you have more fidelity in your overheads to work with. You can push your overheads hotter, and you can push these ride mics and like these. Essentially, you're just turning the hi-hat and the ride into a spot mic. And I know like there's a lot of people out there like in like the rock community that don't end up ditching their hi-hats a lot of the time. This is a way that you can kind of cheat that, keep your hi-hat rocking. Give me half a second, guys. I got a technical thing over here popping up. I gotta check out. My streaming bitrate is lower than recommended. What? No, it's not. What you talking about? Open the widget. We recommend 68. That's what it should be at. 6800, right? Pump. Quick in the field fix. Really quick. 6800, 6800. That's what it's at. 6800. Okay. It's tripping, guys. It doesn't know what it wants to do. YouTube be YouTubing sometimes, you know? Make sure I still have a chat. I still have a chat. Okay. But back to the ride. Back to the ride cleanup. It's a party. Here we go. Yeah, quite the cleanup party. Can't wait. Making it through the ride. Looks like we have a little bit more hi-hat to go through, and then it's going to be pretty much ride throughout the rest of the song with some potential hi-hat work here at the end. Let's buckle down, grind through. Here we go. All right, I was fooled. The ride cymbal's coming in way quieter now. Let's keep pushing. The monotonous side of editing. It was like the snare or the hi-hat came in great volume the entire recording. Right here at the end, it's like it just dropped volume out of nowhere. He got analogued during recording. That must have happened. It'll be okay. We can save it. It's cleaned. Hats and ride are clean. It's over. It's done. The brutal work. Always make a safety net. Always make a safety net. They're not 611 yet. Gotta get rid of that label. Otherwise, we're going to work ourselves into a corner on that. All right. She's all cleaned up. That's hats. Rides. We pulled the snare hits out of all the hi-hats. I think that's pretty much drums prepped. The only other thing I would do is I would take these samples. I have to print them because there is a little bit of a misfire happening on some of the faster stuff. But yeah, I have to go in and print that and then line it all up. But then it would stick it. It would keep it pretty accurate. And that's why I've got them muted right now, because some of them are misfiring and it's driving me fucking nuts. Just like maybe 2-3 samples ahead, 2-3 samples behind. People got to start being a little bit more sticklers on their guitar tuning. Gotta be sticklers. Be a judge, jury, and an executioner when it comes to keeping them guitars in tune. Or if you just want to grab a guitar, bang it out, invest in an Evertune. The tonage I love. I love like the fact that it is a mic on a speaker. I love, but some of them chords are out of tune. Go ahead and clean up the front and the back. I think some of these mics could go for phase alignment too. That could be a stylistic choice. It's one of those things. I don't know if he already tweaked the phase to how he likes it, but I'm probably going to play around with it a little bit. That looks pretty dang in phase. Maybe like one sample. One. I probably just screwed it up doing that. I really did. I probably just screwed it up moving it one sample. I'm gonna listen to it. Let's see. I totally did. I totally screwed it up just moving it one sample. I lost like so much low end out of it. We'll leave that alone. Let's try this one. See what we got happening in this thing. No, he did a really good job. I think he already pre-aligned the samples. I think he pre-aligned the phase before he sent it. I ain't gonna fuck with that. Let's not mess that up. Clean the start though, for sure. Top and tail it. All the buzz. Get rid of the buzz. I can bring it back if I need it. I'm just gonna get rid of it for now. Feel like it doesn't need it, but if I totally screw that up, I can always bring it back. There you go. Just kind of get like a working balance between the two microphones. Looks like it's a 421 and a 57. Strangely enough, the 421 feels fatter than the 57. So I'm a fucking like Andy Wallace head, man. I love like Andy Wallace era mixing. I love CLA era mixing. I love like Randy Cyber. Everything we talked about yesterday. I love that whole era. So I always try to like make things like fat and warm and fuzzy. And wanted to sound like it was mixed on a console, just with a little bit of new school flair to it. So we'll go for that. I don't know what happened, what the balance was, but we'll go with it. Feels good there. Get rid of all this junk. I don't need it right now. Let's see what this overdubby guitar thingy is. Make that active. See what's happening there. Amp noise. Is that amp noise or is that guitar sound effects? That's amp noise. Yeah, it's a lot of amp noise. So, quick key in Pro Tools. I'm going to highlight both of these. Command U. Brings up strip silence. And this is kind of just dial it into where stuff just starts getting clean. Boom, there we go. About there. Sure. Start time. End pad. And that should pretty much top and tail the amp noise. Do batch ins and outs. Switch this one out. Go ahead and get a balance on these mics. Alright. So we've got little balances on multi-mic situations. The drums are just about there. We just have to print the lay-ins and then phase align those. So I'm gonna take a quick 15, guys. Take a quick 15 and we'll be back and we'll dive into that. If you guys have any questions, now's a good time. Drop them down in there. If you guys want me to kind of go over anything, lightly touch on anything we've kind of already done, anything you've already seen so far, drop it down. I'll be back in like, we'll call it 10 minutes. So I'll set a timer right now. You guys can set a timer. I'll be back in 10 to answer any questions that are in the chat and to keep on going, and we'll start printing some samples and phase aligning. So I'm gonna hit the bathroom, grab a cup of coffee, and I'll be back in 10 minutes. Rock on, guys. What's up, and we're back. We're back. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Man, you guys stuck it out through the break and all, man. You guys are some troopers. Got a question pop in. Colton wants to know, when you're mixing, how loud do you typically have your monitors, and what's the best coffee for mixing? Starbucks Blonde Roast, my friend. Whole bean. You take Starbucks Blonde Roast, the light one, it's the Veranda blend. I've been really stuck on like light roast lately. So I went through like my dark roast phase, and then I discovered how to properly extract a light roast, and it changed my world. So a good light roast has way more caffeine in it than a dark roast does. Sits a little easier on your stomach too, I think. And it doesn't give you like that like hairy tongue after, like if you're like me, like I drink coffee all fucking day. So it doesn't give me like the hairy tongue after like an entire day of drinking coffee. Good question though, really good question. And then volume, dude. I'm talking louder than I mix, so like I mix. No bullshit. I've had a dB meter in here, and it's somewhere between like 58 and like 68 decibels. Like I'm mixing at like 10 dB, 20 dB below talking volume. It's weird, dude. It's weird, and I think it's just how I'm able to do like marathon mixing, where I'm able to, like if I'm clocking in like 9 to 5 style mixing, I can do like 2-3 songs in a day. That as long as I sit down and I like prep, like that's what I'm doing with this EP. I'm gonna prep out this EP for you guys. I'm doing this song live. I've got 4 more songs after this one I've got to prep. I'm just gonna knock out all the prep on it. I would spend a day and a half, maybe 2 days doing that, and then I'm just gonna wake up, fresh ears, inspired. Listen to some music that like puts me in a good headspace, drink some good coffee, and come in here and just tackle it. But yeah, I'm pretty quiet. Actually, tell you what, I've got my phone here. I actually have a decibel level app on here. Let's figure that out real quick. SPL, my SPL meter app. I'm gonna mute my mic, I'm gonna push play, and I'll let you guys hear exactly how loud I'm listening. I'll let you see exactly how loud I'm listening to this. Sorry, it was blurry there, but oh, dang it, I talked. And I screwed it all up. Give me 1 second. It has a hold function. It has a hold function. So I'm going to run it one more time. I'm going to get the hold on, and I'll tell you. It maxed out at 64 dB. So whenever the lead kicked in, it hit 64 dB. So I'm maxing like 64. If I want to pump it, I'm hitting like maybe 75. But there's a lot of people that are mixing like 85, 90. I'm like, fuck no, I want to mix like be able to listen to the music all day. And I don't want my ears to bleed. So that helps. I used to mix on NS10s. That's the thing. Is like, I think that's where it came from. It's just mixing on NS10s. Man, your ears start bleeding after like 4 hours of any kind of volume on those things. So yeah, having working long days on those, you had to be mixing low volume on that. And then I switched from those to the HS5s, or actually it's the HS50Ss. So the predecessor to the HS5s. And I mixed the fucking Human Condition record on those motherfuckers. No sub, nothing. Little 5-inch speakers in a treated room. Them motherfuckers kick. And I wish they still worked, dude. Like, I was mixing the Royal Albert Hall Blu-ray, and halfway through mixing that, I realized I had one of my amplifiers on my left side of my speaker was going out, so I had to retire them. And now I'm here at the HS8s. No sub, just HS8s. And the NS10s are still in the closet. I still have them, so always tempted to break them out, but I just don't want to have to go through the sub setup with it, because I really do need a sub. All right, we are printing and phase aligning samples. Woo! This is gonna get fucking dense and boring as shit, so the only way you're sticking this out is if you're a super nerd like me. Andy, do you have a fucking workaround to phase align samples fast? Do you have a life hack for that? Alright, you're in Cubase, right? You're not Pro Tools, you're Cubase. Damn. I have it. I have 10. I have Cubase 10. I never took the time to learn the language, but they were having a clearance sale, like one of those, if you're working on a DAW, switch over, we'll give it to you a discount. And I was like, I want to make a bad decision, so go ahead and sell me Cubase 10. But so I've got it, just never dove in. Probably should dive in. Honestly, I probably should. Save me $100 a month from Pro Tools Ultimate. Shit's expensive. All right, we're gonna print some samples. We'll highlight our area here. What's this last plugin I got? Trim. Fuck that plugin. I don't need that plugin. Highlight these two. Control Option. Right click. Commit up to this insert. Make it inactive. We'll do it offline. Doesn't matter because it's all happening offline. Consolidate the clips and hit OK. This is going to print our samples. I work stripping floors. I work at a school. But little do they know, I'm doing school on YouTube learning preview. Hey, if I give you any, again, if you ever get any shit ever comes your way, I will write an email. I'll say no, he was attending an educational seminar from a very rare opportunity in the professional audio community. They're very few and far in between. Unfortunately, it was scheduled on a work day. All right, so we've got the Snare Love is printed. Make those red. Now we have to go in and line them up. The fun part. I have to go in and make sure it's actually going to hit where our snare is hitting. So we're just going to go through, zoom in super far. We're going to create another edit group. Command G. We're going to call this edit S love, because S is love. All right, here we go. Let the fun begin. We're gonna listen, and whenever it starts feeling weird, we're gonna fix it. I'm gonna mute my mic for this. All right, see that? Snare hit early. MIDI was off. You lied to me, DRT. You lied. But the snare attack track is right, so you don't have to worry about that. Make a cut. I'll hit, tab it to the transient. I'll hit my little cut option here. Go over here. I'll snip that. We're gonna nudge probably within. I'm just gonna take a guess and say it's within 4 samples. And then our good old nudge within the region is command plus and minus. So, nope, I was off. It's way worse than 4 samples. Give me 10. We're just gonna line it on up. That way it doesn't sound thin. Then we should be able to hear it, and it should be a lot fatter. So we're just going to start using tab transient and checking snares. This one is also very ahead. That one's in time. So we'll go back like a snip, and we're just going to shift this within. There we go. Call that good. And we just go, oh, you cheeky little snare drum. This is the process. You just go through, you line them up. Keep going, we're good, we good. Oh, are we not good? We make a snip, and we'll go back. It's the P, semicolon, L, and you know the whole that like numerical triangle thing. So that I'm using that to like tab around. So I can use L to tab backwards. I can use the quotation to tab forwards. So I'm using that to kind of tab between the tab around or all the transients. That one's not good at all. So I'm going to tab to the next transient, create a snip, tab back, and then command minus in order to move this back in time within the edit. For instance, we're just slipping it back. Damn. Oh, there's another one. There's 2 of them. 3 of them. 4. Oh my gosh. You missed a lot. Doggy. Well, at least all that's lined back up. Looking good. Not looking good. That one's also way ahead, and way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead. I'm starting to see a pattern. It just likes to rush a bunch of them. Check it out. We're good, we're good. But hey, at least it's like by a consistent amount. So if it's that much ahead, it just seems to be by that amount. Now we're back on. Nope, now we're ahead again. This is a crucial process. You can't just throw a trigger on a track and say, let's just roll with it. This is what happens behind the scenes. Oh, ahead. It's just trigger happy. Trigger's just trigger happy. Put in ha ha ha, don't unfollow me, sorry. I'm super curious, Andy, do you have a hack to fix this trigger thing? Or does it just not happen to you in Cubase? I just need more excuses to get off Pro Tools. Only problem is I know it so dang well. It's like it's my editing language. It's like one of those, like the second you change your language, you're just a toddler again. That one got a little behind. And just, this is the process. You just kind of go through and you just snap it all to where it's got to go. Just kind of slip it around wherever it's got to be. I'm going to move this to 25 and see if that gets us moving a little, cooking quicker. There we go. Still ahead, still ahead, still ahead. My goodness. You were just off trigger. Check it, check it, check it. Good, good. Back on, back on. Looking good. Oh, just when I was giving you a compliment, just when I said you were looking good, you went off and you did me dirty. Why you gotta do me like that, Trigger? It's just about to start singing your praises. No, I saw like supposedly there's a Trigger 3 coming out, and I'm hoping that they fix all this in Trigger 3. And we just keep going. Transient by transient, snare by snare. Until the next thing you know, you hit that tab button, and there's just no more snares left. And at that point, you're just like, yes! Made it to the end! That's the trick. This is the trick right here. You never look. Never zoom out. Never see how much you got left. You always want the end to be a surprise. If you don't know what you got left, it won't crush your soul. Like sometimes you'll just go in there and you'll be like, why did I zoom out? I felt like I was almost to the end, and I'm like just hitting halfway to the end, halfway to the song. So don't do that. Don't emotionally hurt yourself. Don't want to take that kind of damage. Dang it, another one. Just ahead. It's just ready to go. That's all it is. It's just ready. It's like, put me in, coach. I'm ready. Looking golden, looking golden. And the second I say it, there's gonna be one. Come out. And then this is one of those things, you'll just find yourself, you'll get into a rhythm with it. And then before you know it, you're at the end of the song. So, it's just part of the process, you can't skip it. That's a little ahead. And a big part of the reason why we print the samples is that a lot of samples, like the ones I'm making, and like a lot of like producer packs and stuff like that, they'll be round robin samples, and that's what you want. But the only thing is, whenever you're firing trigger, it won't give you the same exact sample, the same exact place. So you have to print it in order to make sure that you're firing the exact same sample at the exact same place every single time. And that's why this is a step that you really shouldn't be skipping. Like, yeah, you can get it done down and dirty if you just have to get something out. But if you got the time, and we have the time on this project, this is what you should be doing. This is the love it needs. So this is the love we're gonna give it. Colton says, I honestly now wonder if Trigger 2 is why my kick seems sometimes behind. You mentioned some editing on my track yesterday, and I used Trigger 2 to generate a 60 hertz sine wave for an extra thump in the kick. Dude, yeah. Sometimes, especially in the kick drum stuff, in the low end, if I'm using Trigger, like sometimes you have to be really specific with your samples in the kick because the low end can get weird. Sometimes it'll, like, if there's a little bit of a late sample, it'll start phasing with your low end, and some spots you'll lose all your low end. Sometimes you'll have more low end than others, so you got to just really be careful and keep an eye on that. So another big reason why printing it too is a big plus. So when you print it, you can do what I'm doing here. You can line it all up, and whatever the phase situation is whatever it's going to be every single time. Nothing gets weird. And this is also the best way to make sure, like in this kind of music that we're working with here, that the drums situation just sounds natural. Like this is one of those, like I don't really picture this as like a hyper polish ultra mod situation. I picture this as like I was thinking about it earlier, and it's like almost, to me, it reminds me of like vintage era, or not vintage, oh my god, getting old as fuck, vintage era, but like the songs about Jane, like Maroon 5 debut album, or the big album they got big on era. I'm kind of going for that like over-compressed console, everything's super real, just good mixing with real tones, basically, you know? Just like that, we hit the end. Fuck yeah, alright. I went the wrong direction with that tab move there. Command fade! We just want the crossfade spree slice. Alright. Samples are now sample accurate. Yeehaw. Snare's done. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and play this. If any snare feels weird, we're going to address it, but let's get a feel for it. I fat thumbed it. Sorry, guys. That was totally my bad. Picking up where we left off. Sick. That's got drums fully prepped. Good to go. Just for kicks, let's make some spike tracks for it. Let's just kind of see what would happen if we threw in some toms on it. Because that would be the next step. If I wanted to do anything more with this. So we'll duplicate it. I'm going to mute the actual tom tracks. Our good buddy. Capture, analyze, separate, capture, analyze, separate. And we'll go through and do our little our trickety tricks with it. First, I gotta make sure I didn't miss a tom. We don't know. We already know we're not gonna need that. We'll get rid of it. Don't want to accidentally false trigger nothing. Ooh, hey, trackball gone crazy, trackball gone crazy. Someone, Kensington, call the police. Yeah, it's only those. We don't need this. Every single hit needs to be accounted for. Don't need those. Don't forget I have the original toms up here, so we're still going to keep all that intact. Don't need that weirdness. That is a big chunk. Okay. Cool, cool. Alright, what do we have here? What's here? Alright. That's it. We don't need none of that. We're just making key spikes. Get rid of that. That's already snipped. Safety snip. Alright. What do we got here? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Get rid of the excess. Very end of the song, right? Sick. And we'll snip all that. Is that last thing a snare hit? Yep. So you can snip that and get rid of that. There's this big chunk here. What's this? We can get rid of that. Alright, we highlight. Command F. Create the safety fade. 20 milliseconds. And we'll go in. Object tool. Do the thing. Give me like 10,000. Wrong button. Accidentally hit control. Oh, wait a minute. Bro, I have MIDI. Well, we've already made the spikes. No, that's not what I'm going to use them for, though. Alright. Changing direction. I'm just going to use a MIDI. Because we already have it. And it's already finessed. Make us a tom. Turd. There we go. Where are you at? What spot audio? The toms of Eli. These toms are insane. I look back at these and I was like, oh my gosh, these things are great. Forgot I need 2 of them. Floor tom and another floor tom. Let me go to triggering. This gets muted. This goes to the reso head. I'll drag this over here. You go away. You go away. You're here at the party. And you become the reso head. I'll clear you out. I'll clear you out. Where's our tom MIDI? Where are you at? Tom. And in order to do that, in order to select multiple outputs in Pro Tools, guys, you hold the control button. So hold control and then click the output tab, and then you can select a second, third, fourth, however many outputs you want for every single track. So now this is going to fire that trigger instance. Not trying to replace, just trying to reinforce. So. That's the name of the game. Just helps it kind of punch out a little bit more. Then we'll do the exact same thing we did earlier. We're going to commit these. That way Trigger is giving us the exact same tom, the exact same time, every single time. So these we can hide. These are going to go red. And same thing, just like the snare, we're just going to check the phase. Hitting solid. I'm just going to do one tom at a time. This is the floor. Hitting solid, or golden. Golden. No, that one's not. I don't even know where that tom's hitting. I'm going to say that's okay. No, that is okay. I did a lot better with the toms than I did the snare. Yeah, okay. All the way to the front. Let's check out the rack tom. That is looking golden. Sick. I did a great job on the toms. Way better than I did on the snare. So that's got the drums 100. That's it. They're 100% prepped. That's ready for a mix. On the drum side. Ready for a mix. Okay, yeah, I know. You're not active. Let's make it active. Let's have some fun. Because it's prepped. It's good to go. Only other thing I would do is I would print the Ampeg track. I would just print that. And then I would go through and tune up the vocals. That's it. Run some Melodyne on the vocals. Print the amp track. Send this to mix. Sweet, here we go. API. Warm. Clairphonic. Coming to life. That fucking API is just sick. Sorry, I forgot to mute my vocal. I'm gonna mute the vocal. I'm gonna bring in the Bus Plus because that's the API, the Clearphonic on the parallel there on the Crush, and then the warm audio on the main. I'm gonna bring in the Bus Plus. Fuck it. Mute my vocal here. Pretty sick. Let's hit the guitars with the SSLs real quick. Have some fun. I lost an SSL. I gotta plug it in, man. Let's go into the 1073. What you doing, bro? One side of the guitar is just on an SSL. The other side of the guitar is just on a Neve 1073. Fuck it. All right, we're both on the SSL now. Here we go. Alright, I'm going to bypass these SSLs in and out. Should be pretty apparent. So I'm going to start with it out, and then I'm going to kick it in. Here we go. Six. That's got the analog in. So it's got the guitar bus is hitting the SSLs, drums are going through all the bus compressors, and mix bus is hitting the bus plus. Yeah, we haven't even really dove into a mix. Everything's just pretty raw right now. But yeah, we'll go ahead. I'm gonna leave this unprinted right now because whenever I do go to print that, I got my patch points here. Patch point 1, patch point 2. That's gonna be I'm gonna print that whenever I actually process through the analog. So I'm just gonna one-shot that. Just print the amp track. Feel that out. That way, if I do need to add just a touch bit more grind to that track, I can. If I need to clean it up a little tiny bit, I can right before I'm diving into the mix. That way, I'm kind of feeling that out more with my gut. But that's essentially what I'm doing, guys. Outside of, like I said, just running Melodyne on the vocals, and yeah, I'll dive into that much later for sure. But yeah, so we've covered it. That's how you create the kick spikes. And then again, you can create MIDI and trigger off of these, or you can just drop trigger straight on that and trigger off of that. Cleaned up the kick drum. We've done snare MIDI to fire rooms and to fire samples. Created the attack track. We've cleaned the entire snare system. Toms, we've cleaned them, kept the low end, added triggers. We're firing room samples. Cleaned up the hi-hat, cleaned up the ride, prepped it all ready for mix, and then cleaned up some guitar stuff, top and tailed everything, and we're ready to go. This is ready to go for mix, full send. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's mix prep. At least up into the vocal level. So yeah, guitars, I just get a blend of that rocking, and then I run each one of those. I'd run both mics through the 611s, print that, and then just commit it. Call it a tone. So that's essentially the last couple steps. Is just printing out the guitar blend, committing that to a single tone, tuning the vocals. Call it a day. Send it to mix. Turn it over to chat. But yeah, you guys have been troopers. If any of you guys have been hanging out this whole time, holy smokes. Been a 3-hour stream. You guys are troopers. 3-hour stream, and it didn't cut out, and we're running analog. And Colton's in the chat. That's a good stream. Oh, I kicked my camera. But no, I'm probably about to call it. Round in the corner on 4 o'clock over here. Said 3 hours in. A couple more things left to do, but getting close to dinner time. I need to do the dinner thing. So it's a Christmas miracle. Yes. Yeah, it is. But yeah, dudes, thanks again for hanging out. It was a blast. Whole bunch of fun. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call it, dudes. If you guys have any more questions or anything about how I'm doing any of this, feel free. I'm going to leave this up. Feel free to watch this video back as many times as you want to. Feel free to ask me anything in the Discord. Hit me up. We'll hang out. Thanks for chilling, guys.